Okay, so let's try and make a video about the fully printed Bully2 front axle, as you can see here. And this is like a quick video of how more or less to put it together and the hardware involved. I think I didn't do any mistake as far as the hardware. So here we go. I hope you can read. So this is a flathead M3x8 screw, one M3x10, two M3x12, 5 M3x14, and two M3x20. And then, for example, for the shock mounts, I didn't count because it depends on the rod end or your setup, but it's more or less the same. I just didn't count. Should be maybe a 14 or 16 screw. You're going to need 4 locking nuts and 3 non-locking nuts. Okay, so they come all together and they have little bits of plastic together. Like I can show you the Berg version of this, and you see it's one piece, but it has like these small tabs that connects them together. They have to be cut with some kind of hobby knife, something like this. Gets the job done. Okay, probably the worst thing, and let's start there, is one M3 nut. So this case, the short one, has a nut that needs to go inside there, so on the other side of this hole. So it's quite tricky. Take your time. I'm going to fail a few times. The best thing is to put one screw in, one of the 14s, screw it in, go to the bottom and screw it a few times so you break the plastic inside, and then like so. And now grab the nut. You're going to need some tweezers. This is no, maybe not tweezers. And you see it wants to go only in one direction. You cannot, it will always twist to the right way. So I'm going to try and see if I put it wrong, it just twists itself, so it's more or less on the right position. And then it becomes the tricky part of aligning this. Okay, hopefully, yeah, so that's aligned. And now with your finger you hold it in place and you start screwing it, and eventually the screw will capture the nut. Okay, you see how it is? Hopefully you can see. And now it starts to go in. Now I'm not going to put this nut all the way in because I don't want to fully build this case. So yeah, that's the idea. Then you just tighten it and finally remove the screw. So like I said, I don't want to fully build this case, so I'm going to remove the nut, but of course you want this. So that's one nut installed. Other part that is a little bit tricky, get a hobby, this is a surgical knife, I suppose, that's the name. Anyway, something sharp, and I think you can see here, like these edges, they are black because I already trimmed them. So you don't need to cut a lot, just trim this edge a little bit. Like this as well, like this. Just clean them because there's always leftover from the printing process. You see this nut is already in. It's going to be a tight fit. You're going to need a plier for this. Actually, I don't have one with me right here, so I'm going to try to explain. And this is also not so easy because it's tight. So it only enters in this position, you see, even though it wants to rotate, it has to go in like this. With the tweezers I don't have enough force to hold and force the nut in the right position. So okay, and we're back. So hopefully this one will do. So you grab it like this, hold it tight, and in it goes. So if you clean the edges, it's not so bad. This one is already in. This one I don't want to put more because I want to take them out, and then they are a bit of a pain to take out. There we go. This one was still easy. So another nut, another one here. We have here on the bottom, another one of these. These holes now, they are a bit small on purpose. So use the same technique, just get a bigger screw. This is too big, but a bigger screw than this. You put it inside on this hole, thread it, and then it will just pull the nut in. That's the way you should do it. So yeah, another one here for the servo mount. So this one has the nut, this one doesn't have a nut, so it will thread right inside the plastic. These holes, these 4 holes for the servo, they are these 4 bolts, okay? So these M3 by 14, they should go here, okay? And these Johnnies, these M3 by 20, they are for the lower link mounts on both sides, of course, right? And also they are threaded inside the plastic, so no nuts there. Moving on to this side, we have here a space for 1 nut, so one of these, and another one. No light, but anyway, trust me, another one there. I hope you can see. Bearings, they are the same. You just take the same bearings from the bully. Remember that that small, very small gear on the stock bully axle, that is just one tiny gear. We don't use it here, so that's out. So you just use these 4 gears, okay? That small one doesn't exist. These are M10, 5 millimeters ID, 10 millimeters OD by 4 millimeters, I think. Anyway, they are the stock ones. All of these are stock bearings. So nuts there. I think we're done. And let me put the gear. The orders of the gears, you know, I'm pretty sure I don't have them all here, all in hand. I don't want to put all the bearings, but I mean, I'm sure everybody can get where they are going. So not there, that's the most difficult part. And now a bearing that goes like so. First you need to put this gear, and only after you put this bearing, and then closing the box, making sure everything aligns. Okay. Here you see there is this little edge all around. This will interlock with this part, okay, and there's a very tiny edge here. So this will interlock. The first time you close this box will probably not be very easy to close it. And also I had someone telling me that they had powder residue from the printing process here on this edge. So when he was closing, it wouldn't close and the holes wouldn't align, and then it got traced to this as being a problem. So now we don't have that. I already closed. So first time will be very, very hard. Like it depends on the printing. The printing is not perfect all the time, it's not the same, exactly the same all the time, because you see here you have the layers. On this one you don't have the layers, so this depends on the position that the part is while printing. Printing process is not perfect, and we have to keep that in mind, but it's something that as a designer you cannot control. So for example, this box, the first time was quite hard to put together, others are not so hard. So you know, if it doesn't go like now, it went perfect, but last time I had to put on the edge of the table and just force it in. But anyway, it's done. You saw, just goes together with a click. This is a new feature. I have here these holes, so anyone can just make out of carbon fiber or aluminium or Lexan or whatever you have in hand. You can just make a simple battery or electronics mount on behind the motor. This is a new feature. It will take, I think, 8mm bolts or 10mm bolts. Also, it depends on the size, how thick the plate is, but bear in mind it's not a true bolt, so it doesn't go that way. Okay, so that's done. Obviously the flathead goes there. Here on top, M3 by 12 here, but you know, it's right on the edge, on the inside, so if you tighten it too much, could rub on the shaft. Shouldn't, but could happen. Also, this is threaded on this plastic, so don't over tighten it, and this advice goes to all of the screws. Don't over tighten everything. It's better to use, if needed, a little bit of Loctite on the screws and just not over tighten everything, because this is still plastic, it's not aluminium or something like that, so it does deform a little bit, and if you press it too hard, if you close it too hard, it can always bind the gears and it's not going to run smooth, so keep that in mind. So M3 by 12 on this one, M3 by 10 on this one. Here as well, M3 by 12, but this one still misses this part. Okay, so M3 by 12 there. That has the nut on the inside, the locking nut. What else am I missing here? No, not much. Just don't over tighten everything, and because also, especially this one is 2mm and it can break, and you don't want that. Okay, then servo goes in. This also captures the servo. M3 by 14 here, that goes on those nuts. Here you have a locking nut here on this side, okay, and then here is M3 by 14 again, as we can see, and that's it. Bob's your auntie. Another thing that I have to mention, for example, on this part you can see here how black this is. Like, I had to grab the hobby knife and just take out the edge just a tiny little bit, because with the printing process, no, I cannot, I don't have any one edge to show you. Sometimes the edge, for example, the edge of this hole, sometimes it curls up just a small bit, so you just have to take that down. The 5 by 10 by 4 bearing that is here installed on the stock pulley axles, it's gone, so we have this instead, so you don't need that bearing. And yeah, so short side goes in. Hopefully it's actually, I should install the C-hub first, it's easier because to align everything. Oop. Do you want to? Oh, no. Okay, I have to stop being lazy. So you have the splines. Actually, they are double the quantity of the splines that you get on the stock Bully, because the way they do it in the aluminium is half of these splines, let's say. The bearing, the thread here, you'll be threading straight on the in the plastic. So again, don't overdo it. Should be the same screw from the stock. I don't know if it's probably it's 8 millimeters, but should be the same. One in the front, one in the back, and this C-hub was modified for other ventures, but in the end it didn't, because I built this. Yeah, now it's just a bit ruined. And yeah, so not on this side. You put here, you put your servo, you put this, tighten, and then one 14 3x14 on this side, and there you go. Quick and dirty, and it has some nice ground clearance, and it is like, okay, this part is open, but if I go against it, very little flex, and I think it's okay. I hope you guys enjoy it and it works out. If not, yeah, let me know and we'll make it better. Cheers.